Hey guys, welcome back to 5 at 5, my new YouTube channel. And I want to kind of get right into what I was talking about last week, and that is buying a car. And we talked about 5 good tips. This week we're going to talk about 5 things you can do to give yourself a better overall deal. I want to call it the art of the. No, I'm not going to use that one. So we're going to do something else starting right now. So welcome back again, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about how to get a really good deal when it comes to negotiating your brand new car or your new lease. What I really want to talk to you about is how we were able to construct that deal using the trade as equity, and then on top of that looking at potential discounts. Now, in most recent years, some of the more luxury brands like Mercedes, BMW, Lexus, Acura, Infiniti, they're all pretty they're up and down roller coaster rides when it comes to trying to get a really good deal off the price of the car. So unfortunately, we did one of my very first tips I'm going to tell you, and that is to shop around between multiple dealerships. If you live between 5 miles and 70 miles between 2 or 3 different dealerships for the car manufacturer that you want to do business with, shop around. It doesn't hurt. And some manufacturers are okay with it because they feel like they have the best price. And a lot of times those guys do have the best price, and they'll do something that will, kind of woo you and wow you, and you usually buy right on the spot. Other times you actually have people who will not be so friendly, and what they'll do is they'll play around with you, play around with numbers, they'll lowball you on a trade, or they'll do some other things, and it can kind of frustrate you some. It's not to say that they're a bad dealership or they have bad practices. It's just that they are trying to do what all dealerships want to do, and that's preserve a profit level. And that is something that anyone who's in business, you got to preserve your profit. You don't want to just give it away. And that's something that I was, a little frustrated with a couple of dealerships, but at the same time, I understood where they're coming from. But the good thing is we shopped around, and by shopping around, we went from that trade-in value being right at about $1,000 of equity up to $3,000 in equity. And I can tell you right now, it was perfect. So during that whole process, not only did we shop, right, we also made sure we got the model that we wanted. So make sure that you are looking at the exact model of car that you want with the features in that car that you want. It's very important to get what you want, because at the end of the day, you're paying for it, not them. You're going to help them by selling the car. You're going to help them by giving them a trade that they can resell and make more money off of it. So in the long run, trust me, the salesman is going to be fine. The dealership is going to be fine. The sales manager is going to be fine. And a lot of times, if it's the right time of the day, right time of the month, which we'll talk about soon, 100%, they're going to get you taken care of. So make sure you look at that right car, and make sure you negotiate everything else on that side. So number 3 is going to come down to something I would like to say is be careful of the hidden fees. And I will say this as nice as I can possibly for a lot of these dealerships now. Hidden fees are everywhere, and hidden fees sometimes can be something that is mentioned online but does not show up in a buyer's guide when they give you that form that says, hey, this is what you're paying for the car, this is what we're going to give you for your trade, this is your difference. In that form, there's all your fees down there. Take out a calculator and add those up. And if you see a discrepancy, ask them what is that for. A lot of times it could be something that was mentioned on the company's website, but unfortunately did not make it to that buyer's guide. But you must make sure that you add that up, double check. Because once again, this is your car, not theirs. You got to pay for it. You got to love to drive it. You got to love to own it. Trust me, it's worth up to $300 to $650 of your time just to take out a calculator and add those up. Make sure everything comes to be exactly as they say it's going to be. So that brings me to number 4. And number 4, keep in mind, you want to do your research. Do your research on the car that you love, the cars you want to buy. And behind me is a very good tool that a lot of people don't actually take advantage of, and that's Edmunds.com. Now they actually do a once a year, sometimes twice a year video that talks about all of the new cars that are coming out within a calendar year or a fiscal year, right? And a lot of times you'll have cars in there that you may not know that have been announced or previously shown at an auto show, back in 2020. And this is a good way of getting information out, because for some people, you like to buy a really good car, right? But sometimes you don't want to buy the first of a new model series, right? So if it's a brand new model cycle for the new Honda Civic, for instance, which is going to be brand new for 2022, maybe you don't want that body style on the first year. So then you decide to take the last model year. And a lot of times this brings up a really good point of negotiation, right? It's the last year for a specific body cycle. And a lot of times when dealerships have a lot of a car that's out currently, but it's about to be replaced within a couple months, they'll make heck of a deals. I'm talking about crazy deals just to get it off their lot, so they don't have to have one more spot taken up by an older model. Because once people see the new model, then you're like, do I want to go with the 2022 and may not get as good of a deal on it up front because it's brand new, or do I want to go with a 2021 that they're throwing everything plus the kitchen sink at just to get it off their lot? So do your research. Use companies like Edmunds.com, Kelley Blue Book. If you want like the online reviews off of YouTube, for instance, you have TFL Cars, really good. You also have other companies like Test Drive Now. They give you a good insight of what's coming out, what's available, and their own opinions on how the car drives. Another good one is Driven by Tom Volek. He's very, very good. His reviews are awesome. So that's going to lead me to my fifth and final point. And we just mentioned all these other points, right? So what is that last point? Well, the last point is getting you ready for your next car. And that is looking at what cars have very good resale value. What cars have very good lease incentives to where you have a very low money factor, which can allow you to get a much better return on your investment at the end of the lease. So these are things that you may not be thinking of right now, but if you're like myself, who likes to get a car every couple years or so, and I don't like to just stick around with the same car all the time because I get bored, leasing is the way to go. If you're the type of person that wants to own a car, you want to buy it, you want to own it, and you don't, you want to keep it for 4, 5, 6 years, or like my sister says, 10 or 20 years, you want to buy the car, but you want to buy the car that you feel like is going to fit you perfectly. Now, a bonus one, I know we said 5 at 5, but today we're going to give you 5.5, because a bonus one is look at rebates and what are you eligible for rebates. Every single car manufacturer has some form of rebate or some form of purchase program or whatever else they want to do for certain qualified buyers, whether it's military, college graduate, it could be competitor cash, it could be lease cash, it could be return incentives. If you had a lease and you return the lease, those are all great elements that you can actually add into that deal, but you got to make sure you look them up first, because you want to go into a car dealership as if you are preparing yourself for battle, and you want to be an armed and ready. That's a bad analogy. You want to be perfectly prepared for any kind of what if scenario. And if you walk in there and you have everything ready to go and you say, hey, I'm a prior military vet, hey, I'm a college graduate because I went back to get my degree for whatever it's going to be, hey, I'm also an owner of a competitor, what can you do for me? That all of a sudden helps that dealership reduce this big wall that's already up between the two of you. And all of a sudden they start to kind of say, okay, well, this person is prepared. And by them being prepared, they kind of know, I don't need to go through the BS route of let's write the deal up, you come back, give you the other deal, then you go back again, then you come back and get another deal, then you go back and forth. I hate that. I absolutely hate it. The last 4 cars that I purchased have mostly been done through text messages and also a few calls here and there. But when it came to negotiating, I negotiate one time and I try my best not to negotiate anymore. So if I happen to look at that Mercedes GLA at one dealership and I negotiated it, I take what I did there and I go to the next one and I say, this is where they're at. Can you beat it? Done. And most of them are going to say, heck yeah, we're going to beat it, because they want your deal. They don't want to give it to their competitor, and they want to make the money that the other one lost out on because they were too cautious to give you a little bit more money in the trade. So I hope that's something that we can all pack up together and learn a little bit more from. And I will continue this series. I think I'm going to do one more, and we'll talk about lease versus purchase. I think that's a really good insight that a lot of people have asked me about. Why do you lease, Jamal? And I want to tell you there are great benefits to it, and there's some negatives too. So I will do that coming up on Wednesday. We'll have a short video, and hopefully you guys have learned a lot more from me, because I am enjoying every bit of this, and it's exciting me every single day. And thank you again. Remember, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, so if you don't see this video until later on, trust me, I enjoyed our talk. 5 at 5. I'm out. Thanks for joining. Please subscribe. Click, click, click. That's click thumbs up, click for subscribe. Don't do the third click, because that'll unsubscribe. Thanks again, guys. Bye-bye.